Hi, hello friends. This is Shanker, and today the topic which I am going to talk about is sex. Sex through astrology. I mean, how can you understand your sexual desire, and you know what is it? What are the planets which govern our sexual desires, and what are the things which can you can see as pointers. So I cannot go into details on it, but let me explain you certain basic fundamentals. Now, if as far as signs are concerned, my research and my seeing a lot of horoscope has shown that people with the Gemini sign, those who have a lot of planets in Gemini, like Moon, Mars, Venus, planets which are there in Gemini and Scorpio. These are two two signs which have got a tendency of overtures, sexual overtures. Gemini likes to experiment. They like to have multiple partners. Of course, I'll come to the planets, which are very important. The Scorpio, that is, they like to go deep into sex, understand it. They're more interested in the the aspect of their sex and trying it in different ways. And the signs which are just behind it, that is Libra and Taurus, also I've seen are signs which have overtures of sexual desires, and people are prone more to sexual desire as compared to other signs. They are more attractive. They're more open about it. They like experimenting about it. Gemini and Scorpio, I've seen it, and I've seen thousands of horoscopes, and these two signs are important, and try to look at it. Now, the planets which are very important for the sex and sexual drive is Mars and Venus. And Venus is the tender side. Is for the man, it's the it is the Siemens, it is your reproductive power, and Mars is the energy. So these are the two planets which are very, very important in terms of creating a sexual desire. And whenever you see these two planets together or respecting, you be sure that this person has some interest in sex. The way it would be and the way it would happen, way it would not happen, would depend upon a lot of other things. But these are two very, very important planets which lead to overture of, and kind of control the engines which control your sexual energy. They're the engines which control the Mars and Venus. Mars is energy and Venus is. Of course, the mind is very important. Therefore, Moon plays a very important role. And the placement of Moon is extremely important when we talk about sex and sexual desires. The placement of Moon, because that's the mind. Your mind has to be engaged in getting attracted towards relationships. So, Moon is very important. Now let's come to the houses which are very important for sex. The most important house is the seventh house. Now, seventh house is a house which is important. It is the legal sex. It is the sex with the partner. That is what I've seen seventh house. So it's just your other side. And in most of it, in 90% of the cases I've seen, it is a sex which is with your partner. It is your relationship with your partner. It's a relationship with the other person. In most of the cases, it is the partner. While a relationship which is outside marriage, which is before marriage, with marriage, etc., it is concerned with the fifth house. And fifth house, therefore, is very important. The other house which is important for sex and understanding the orientation of a sex of a person is the 8th and the 12th house. Now, 8th house is the house of secrecy. So whenever there is a relationship where there is element of secrecy, the 8th house becomes extremely important. And I'll get into planets at a later stage. So 8th house is extremely important, and 12th house is something which is done behind the scenes, and it's the It is the house of the pleasure of bed. It is the house which governs after day, it's the night. It is this house which is, which you do everything behind the curtain, strategy, etc. behind the curtain. So 12th house is extremely important. So if you have Mars and Venus in 5th, 8th and 12th, they have different connotations. And 5th house would mean relationships before marriage, after marriage, that has to be seen with a lot of other things. 8th house certainly means some kind of secret relationships which are there, which could be before and after. And 12th house also governs, it enhances your desire for relationships. So, this is how you have to say it. And let's understand, whenever Mars and Venus are together, they are not only two planets which, enhance your desire to sex. It is Moon which plays a very important role. And Moon, whenever it is in the 5th house, the 7th house, 8th house, 12, even the 9th house, and it has got some relationship with Venus. It increases your emotional outburst, and it can actually, finally, the way it gets into a relationship would depend on other things, but it does increase your emotions. It does also gives you a kind of an unconventional emotional relationships. It gives you emotions which are very different in nature. May not be run to a mill. They could be different in terms of this thing. So that's, I get Moon into the picture also. Now let's understand the planet, Mercury. Mercury is a eunuch. Saturn is also a planet which is not very interested in sex, and it gives you a kind of a discomfort with sex. And Ketu is without a head. It is, it is the lower side. And these are the three planets which, are on the other side. Saturn, Mercury and Ketu. Remember this, Saturn, Mercury and Ketu, they are on the other side. They are the dampeners in your sexual relationship, and sometimes even also they make you unconventional. So let's understand, Mars is the most important engine for a relationship to happen. And Rahu is a planet which is, absolutely interested in sex. Its head doesn't have the lower part, and it's like it wants to enjoy life. And look at the sukh of the highest extent is in a body, in relationship when two bodies merge. That is the highest. And Rahu wants it. Rahu wants sex and wants to try it in different ways. So whenever Mangal is with Rahu, please stop and have a look at the horoscope of even a woman and a man. So Mangal and Rahu, whenever aspected by Shani, Saturn, it makes a lady very, very unconventional. She could have a lady or a man, both the ways. Especially in the case of a woman, it can make her very unconventional, make her to get into relationships which are unwanted, which is behind your marriage or before marriage. The desire is very high. So Mars with Rahu aspected by Shani makes it. And I am talking about these planets whenever they're in the orb of 8 to 10 degrees. That is very important to see. I mean, don't consider Mars is 1 degree and Rahu is 28 degrees. It won't have that kind of an impact. Though Mars and Rahu together, it may just give a tendency to that, and it may give other tendencies also. So Mars and Rahu aspected by Saturn. Saturn is unconventional. Rahu wants to have it. Saturn is like a person who becomes a cheat. Whenever it is around Rahu, it becomes a cheat, unconventional person and a cheat. And Mars there, so what happens? It explodes. So relationship of Mars and Venus, relationship of Mars and Rahu aspected by Saturn, I've told you. I've told you about the two signs, Gemini and Scorpio. I've told you about the houses 5th, 8th and 12th, which are important houses. These two, wherever these Mars, Venus, Chandrama there, please stop. They'll kind of get into the unconventional relationships. Now, what happens if a person is interested in a relationship with the same sex, and nothing wrong in it. It's a part of evolution. It's part of our consciousness today. And even in Mahabharata, I think Shikhandi was there, and we had a story where 6 months it was a male and then a female. So it's basically they were actually bisexual and gay. So it has been existing for a very long time. So whenever Shani, Ketu and Mercury are together, be sure that this person is more interested in having sex with the same person. Now here you have to also see what it's in a male sign or in a female sign. Now whenever a planet is in a male sign or a female sign, in a male sign the attraction will be more towards male. If it's in a female sign, the person will behave like a female and be attracted towards a male, and the same would be there in the case of a lady. So I'm talking about Saturn, Mercury and Ketu somewhere together in a critical houses like 5th, 8th, 12th, 7th, Lagna, those kinds of things. Together is a very important thing. Saturn, Mercury, Ketu, and they are very big pointers towards it. And then if you superimpose, Venus is the most important planet for relationship and in both men and women. And Venus, if it is in the nakshatra of Saturn and aspected by Ketu, or in the nakshatra of Mercury aspected by Saturn, or then you have to also look at things, and there will be a lot of unconventionality in the person as far as that person is concerned. So wherever there's influence of Saturn, Ketu and Mercury, in terms of both nakshatra, in terms of aspects, in terms of exchange of nakshatra, I mean, as we do astrology, you have to, there will be some kind of unconventionality in the relationship. Now you have to understand that a lot of things keep on happening, but nobody knows. And the most important person for that is Jupiter. I've seen horoscopes where Mars and Venus is there in the Sagittarius. Jupiter is in Gemini. There are planets in the 6th house. 6th house is 12th to 7th, so nothing, not so great about it. And the lady had a lot of relationships before marriage, she had relationships after marriage, she never got caught. It's because of Jupiter's aspect on 7th house. So what Jupiter does is, it makes you a very kind of a thing in the society that you are not caught, and you keep on continuing with it. And wherever Jupiter is placed, and that is my thing, wherever Jupiter is placed in the 9th house or in the 3rd house, I've seen people, ladies having relationship with their cousins, having relationship with their gurus. Jupiter gives that tendency also. I mean, it's not that, please don't consider Jupiter as a planet which covers up everything. If you look into astrology, Jupiter also has a kind of a stories of having sex with his brother's wife and so on and so forth. So do not just consider Jupiter as a planet which always protects you. That's critical. You should understand that Jupiter has a role to play. But like Jupiter, Chandrama together may be a Gachikesh yoga, but I've always seen such people they'll have some controversy inside which is doesn't come out. So Jupiter covers up things, gives a kind of a thing by which nothing more than that. Don't think Jupiter is there, nothing is going to happen. Saturn, wherever it is there, it gives a kind of uncertainty. Saturn in 8th house would, like for example, I'm saying Saturn in 8th house will make a person, he will not be able to perform well, but he will desire sex. So Saturn reduces the performance, but the desire increases. And the houses here, every time I say 5th, 7th, 8th and 12th are important houses, which is important. Mercury and Ketu again play the same role, and they are dampeners kind of things. So this is how you have to look. And Mars and Venus are the major planets along with Moon. Remember something that which is very important is, and this will apply for everything, is the Mahabharat's characters. The sun is like Krishna. Moon is akin to Draupadi. Mars is akin to Arjuna. Mercury is like Karan. Jupiter is like Dronacharya. Saturn is like Duryodhan. Rahu is like Shakuni. And Ketu is like Vidur. So Ketu had always, Vidur had a blemish. He was born illegitimately. He was a very learned man, an intelligent man. He could see, he had the power to see. But if you look at his background, the way he was born, to a servant, who had also passed through the rishi who had the power to get the pregnancy done, get the lady pregnant. So, the thing is, there's a kind of illegitimacy, that is the bottom line of it. And so that is how you have to see. And so you look at Karan, Mars and Mercury. They are not friendship. Arjun and Karan were not friends. Mars and Mercury would never do well together. So if you look at these planets in this way, and if you understand the characters of Mahabharata, and you relate them to the houses, you will be able to understand the entire play of relationships. Venus is like Shukracharya. He was like the Daitya's guru. It's like Shukracharya, who was there, that part of Mahabharata. He was there, the Daityas. So, if you look at this whole play, then you would understand things in a better way. But I can go on and on, because so many, just to conclude, the important houses are 5th, 8th, 12th. Also give importance to 6th house, the 3rd house there, because 3rd is 8th through 8th, 6th is 11th, 6th to 6th is 11th, that is also important. 6th house is like takes you away, cuts you away from a particular thing. So, 6th house is an impact on, if it is with the Shukra Mangal, it cuts you away, takes you away, kind of thing. It's unconventional in terms of this thing. So, important planets are Mars, Venus. I've talked to you about Moon. Talked to you about Jupiter. Also told you about Rahu and Mars together. And also told you about 3 planets which give you tendencies which are different, which are Shani, Mercury and Ketu. And these planets, when they affect Shukra and Mangal, they create tendencies. Extent of tendencies and what the tendencies would depend upon. The nakshatra would depend upon the house and so many other things. Male planet, female planet, etc. Also, a very particularly important thing is that if you look at the signs, then like Cancer denotes the breasts. The Cancerian man will always like breasts, and a Cancerian lady would have a good breast. The Leo is the stomach. Aries would be hair. Taurus would be features. Gemini is like this part of would be beautiful for ladies. So if you look at these signs, and as the body is, those are the parts which would be good depending on what are the planets there, and it is respected by which planets, and that would be the area of interest in your sexual performance. So that's it. You can write to me, contact me, connectingminds@gmail.com. This was a subject I thought a lot of people were asking me. A lot of questions come on this, so I thought I'd talk about it. Thanks, and bye. Please subscribe to my channel, and contact me, connectingminds@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.